I was thinking about what it's like to go through life, no matter what each day holds, trying to be able to have these ideas that you just prime the experience with before you go into it. And it's the confidence in knowing that whatever you experience has something to teach you, whether or not you like it. It's not about judging it. It's just confidence in your path. So I think that's a concept that a lot of people don't understand, because it doesn't mean like you don't have to know. It doesn't mean confidence in your path like a 5-year plan. The best part is not knowing. It means that like it's not like, well, what am I doing? Where's the path? Everybody wants you to write it down and generate it. No, you can't not do the path. Every single day, if you bring a mindset of just trusting that whatever it is that you're delivered, everything that's without, outside of your control, and then knowing what you can control, which is your reaction and your contribution, how you show up to the moment. That's from everything, everything you do energetically affects the people around you. So that's why it's important to like learn that language and control it. And that's what the future is going to be more like, because I don't think people will be able to hide. I don't think people will be able to hide. I mean, no one ever has been able to, but it's like, how do you contribute to the space around you? And like, my belief is that if everybody realizes how they want to feel and take up space, however that is, truly from like a healed place, and by that I mean like integrated in the ways that I've mentioned in other videos, integrated karmic self, past lives, but also like unhealed traumas, lessons. Every time you heal a part of yourself, your mind will like everything. What you do in the present can change the past. In short, that's what healing is. You're actually going back in time and healing that, because the quantum relationship between the past, present, and the future is the same thing. Same point. It's the same thing. This is just a crystal ball. It has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. I'm just showing you that I have it, and then it's pink. So being able to generate desires from that healed space and just hold the frequency of knowing what they are, right? You don't have to completely articulate. That's why it starts in the body, it starts in the energy, it starts in the mind, and why a good practitioner of co-manifesting, like actually just doing what they need to do to get what they want in life is a good way to put it. For those who are just dead in the ears of hearing the word manifest, like me, honestly. Like it's I feel like in some way the past 15 years have almost like cock-blocked actual truth from coming out, because certain, like, it was like language itself closed up because of words, things like this soup is one of my, like, the proverbial soup, one of these metaphors that I also keep coming back to, because it's like this constant stirring just took things that I used to, it's like it made the game harder, right? Society took something that I dreamed of doing as a child and dropped in all this, like, all these blocks. Wow, what if I cut my hair this short? I'm caught up in the illusion. When and if I do cut my hair, but it's pretty cute. I haven't had my hair this length since I was 8. I have to stop now then. I don't know. I think that there could be a long breakdown of how when people talk about past life healing and inner child work, right? Because that's fully saturated the psychology, psychiatry, like inner child work. It is to, so it's how you jump timelines, which you're like, oh, I'm not really concerned with that. It's like, well, okay. What I'm talking about, how you jump timelines. Most people in life would agree that, and this is a healthy part of life, right? It's a good part of life, but they're always wanting something more, right? There's a healthy level of ambition, but right, we've come to kind of understand and notice as a society that a lot of us just postpone joy, right? Don't postpone joy. Like, no, literally, don't do it, because the goals, they always keep, it's like, when I get this, I'll have that, I'll feel this way, and it's the carrot and the stick, and society designed it that way, and we're not really thriving, if you haven't noticed, so we need to do something differently. So, you may say that you're not interested in hopping timelines, but the thing about that way of living is that we were conditioned to help us think that it's the only way, it's what we fall into, as not even knowing that we're doing that as the way, but that is what we're doing, is like that, those habits, those ways of thinking, those ways of goal setting, it will be the exact practices that keep us from fulfilling it, because there's not a true sense of like presence, and really it's just occupying a frequency energetically, vibrating energetically based on your mood. This is cool. The graphic I'm about to use for one thing can be flipped over and used for another. So what you're doing is you're keeping yourself from being able to vibrate faster, okay? So if there were waves, the peaks and the valleys would be, right? Don't have to explain that necessarily. And then, similarly here, lower vibration. The effort of having to consolidate these different integrations energetically, right? So that you can align with a faster vibration, because you're processing more energy, faster processing, more active, more highly efficient, I would say. It is almost as if one could say that the passage of time is actually experienced differently up here. One could say. All right? So the emotional scale, this is measurable. No, I haven't done any tests. I don't know. It just seems like it's facts, because I feel like science may reject certain things of like, actually, maybe not. I'm gonna not go that route. So back to the hopping timelines thing. Oops, I stopped icing my knee. It'll come to me. So, that's interesting. Okay, so, integrating unhealed parts of yourself. If you haven't made peace with certain things that affected you throughout different points in your life, which is like, clearing karma, it's called in the spiritual community, or I guess you could put it like being honest truly with yourself about certain things, just like the theme in many great novels, right? Like, right? It's a trope. It's like a thing in life, like staying true to yourself. A lot of heroic tales are actually tragedies, and you might ask yourself, why is that? Why are these tropes of people who are also deaths of like geniuses in celebrity culture? I'm not in a position to. I need to make a very important phone call, so this really can't go on for very much longer, but basically, a way to do the hopping of the timeline, right? So imagine that these are different unintegrated versions. There it is. I finally remember the original purpose of this before it was flipped upside down, which is funny because I drew it and applied it to the other one. Okay, so this is the present moment. Remember the flashlight moments? You put something on the bulb, right? So flashlight, the present moment. This is also the present moment, okay? And if you have doubt and you don't trust in the path, right? And you may say, oh, I trust in the path. Well, what do your actions show, What is the benefit of the doubt that you give the people around you in interactions, How did it affect you to, no matter who they were, no matter what was going on, you just say, before you even open your mouth to somebody, like, talked about this in a long ago video. It was something about like energetic methods, right? Being able to prepare your interactions with everything that you have available to you, which, you know, just to keep it simple and universal, and you just want it to be good. You just want to have a good interaction. Who wouldn't, you know? That's the thing. A lot of us, like, we don't know how to live a life that's just like pleasant, because we like enjoy the drama, and there's all these like collective dramas, and there's all these like things that we're told, there's all this social stuff, and it's like, why wouldn't you just want to be like, just chill out and be kind to the people around you, and be curious, and like start to like enjoy your life. You can literally start doing it whenever, and it's free, and you don't have to know what you're doing. Just like be nice to people and like engage with people. And I'm not saying like I think of a scene from How I Met Your Mother when Marshall's walking down the street because Robin's like, well, not everybody's like you, and it's like, and he's just like, it's funny, you should watch it. I'm not saying be like that. I'm just saying whatever that means for you, because everybody's different. If that means just like not, you know, that's kind of how I enjoy my life and like soak things up, and not every day, obviously. I'm an incredibly moody person. It's just who I am. But I try to work through that, and I know what I need in all my moods. But that means that like some days are like that, some days are not. But no matter what mood I'm in, I do have a faith that whatever's happening, I just need to, if I don't get it, just listen a little bit harder, wait a little bit, feel into myself, just trust the process, right? Sometimes things in our lives, the situations, what we're going through, it's not satisfactory, and therefore we feel like we need to do something differently. It's not the case. Sometimes you need to tolerate a situation, just wait it out, you know, and don't be disappointed in yourself. Like, you're learning. Never forget that. It's not anything bad. You're in earth school. That's another term that's in the spiritual community. It's very real. It's very real. I don't mean to make fun of anything when I do that sing-songy lisp voice. I'm not sure. I have a lot of voices. Sometimes it could be an accent or two. I probably won't let myself like let go that much on doing these, because I am, you know, mildly aware that I'm trying to communicate. I'd like to, I think it's a pretty big shoes to fill to get the title Wordsmith of the Imperial. Like, it's a very, I like it. I would say that it came to me, like it was given to me rather than I created it. There's a difference in the way that I think about ideas and generate my own ideas, and then how like just, you know, dropped in. And I did, you know, sit there. Well, first it was the Imperial Wordsmith, but I didn't like that the acronym, or the initials EW, because it's EO. So then I was like, how can I? So I was playing around with the word wordsmithery, and I liked it because it reminded me of blacksmithery, because I've been feeling into my history as a soul with forgery, fire, and welding, blacksmithery, and my hands, very much my relationship to my hands, and wordsmithery. When I tried to put it into different titles, it was on the same level as the English word flabbergast, and I don't want it wordsmithery. I wouldn't be able to say that on a regular basis. So, Wordsmith of the Imperial. And I do like how WE, it means we, and it means like we're all in this together. It's sweet. It comes full circle. And again, it just a sequence, a little string of clues, little gingerbread crumbs throughout my life helped me figure out that that's what that is, right? Because it wasn't one thought. It was I would call it 3 months of like getting these downloads and illuminations about what I'm supposed to be talking about and doing, and like I've done a lot. I've literally cleaned out this whole just so much stuff, and I'm doing a lot of stuff in my life. This is only one thing I'm doing. I'm doing a lot of stuff. I'm very, very busy. I'm so proud of myself for my day-to-day. Very productive, very healthy. Time to rest, for sure. I got distracted because I was giving myself a little pat on the back, and it's important to do that. You know, we're allowed to do that and just be like, yeah. And if you can't say that at the end of the day, then that's okay. You know, don't be hard on yourself, but what could you do tomorrow that would make you want to say that or feel that? You know, just some way to like feel good about things. And even if it's like, you know what, I don't know, you know, self-created moments, and that's why that's why I share the affirmation, and also in a different video, of the universe conspires in favorable ways on my behalf that I both expect and do not expect, and in extremely pleasing ways, or something to that effect. Affirmations aren't for everybody, but like, what if you just considered that? Just consider. Be like, what if that were the case? And then something's gonna happen and it's gonna piss you off and you're gonna be like, I knew it. But every single moment's a moment to choose. Again, it's all about how you dial in, your choice, to the moment. It's how you dial into the moment. The world's not gonna change, but once you start to recognize that, like, you bring your own energy. It doesn't matter, right? Like, and again, it's like, why can't we all just go out and decide to be like kind to each other and curious about one another and just try to be like, well, you know, like I pray for people all the time. Like every person I see like on the sidewalk, like I'll just look at people and like cast light over them, like in a good way, you know. God bless you. Right? It's the assumption, that whole thing too, about like you want to prime the interaction just by being like, I'm gonna expect the best in you. Could you just do that for me too? Like, let's see how this goes. Maybe it could be pleasant. It could be good. You don't owe anybody anything, but the world's gotten very, very cold, and we really lack a genuine form of connection, particularly with the internet. It's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's radical. It's earth-shattering. Oh, I was trying to, you know, get somewhere about how it's important to, you go out, you assume the best in people, you hope that they do that for you, you hope that they do that for you. Oh yeah. And that's why it's so important that, like, even if you don't like the experience, you can like yourself in that moment, you know. You can still respect it, how you handle the moment, and you can still find a way to like forget, you know. Just don't forget that you're learning, right? Because the moment you say like, fuck this, blah blah blah, then you're not letting these two timelines merge. You're rejecting, it's what you see when you look around, you know. If you're rejecting what's happening around you, your life, your timeline, you're not going to be able to like start to accept, right? It's pretty good visual, because it's like it applies in so many ways. You allow, and then like these things can kind of snap together. Because you're just focused on one thing, and that's just like, it goes back to the whole tragic hero, right? You just be yourself, like, what's really going on? What do I think? Don't filter yourself. Like, of course you can't just say whatever you want, but that's like, there's just keys, right? Just discernment is a key. Kindness and compassion are keys. These are non-essential keys, you know? In order to just completely know that it's okay and trust to say whatever's on your mind, I feel like it's not to say you're not going to offend people. I'm saying, like, all you can do is trust that what you have to say is like think about how you feel about things, and then like tell people, like, we're meant to communicate and work together and figure things out. And it doesn't even matter if you think it's worth saying, right? I do think it's interesting to engage with other people about anything, right? So that could apply in like a, who knows, you know, personal relationship or a job or a friendship or a whatever, how you speak to your fish. So, you know, the other people in the world around you aren't going to be like, again, like, I don't know why I keep using this example. I don't particularly like it, but if I'm continuing to repeat it, then maybe somebody might benefit from it. But like, it's like you're playing a game and you just decide, if you don't like the whole thing about like you're gonna manifest this and do intention, setting intention, pretend you're just playing a game where you do just try to think about things a little bit differently, so that you were just, regardless of what happened, trying to be just really kind and non-reactive and like supportive and actually caring, you know? But again, everyone does it differently. Whatever it means for you, being true to yourself, but also just like not being shut down to the world in whatever way that means, right? Giving people the benefit of the doubt, giving life the benefit of the doubt, and opening your eyes to like, just switching up the way that you engage with all your moments and your surroundings as if they were a perfectly woven quilt of meaning and synchronicities designed to guide you onwards if you were to truly embrace its beauty, because there's nothing like how the universe weaves the world in front of you if you pay attention to it. There's nothing like it. It's a very, very fun thing to do. Spider, spirit energy, quilter, weaving, cosmic umbilical to the mother, all of these previous analogies that I commonly use. Few of those I haven't ever recorded a video on, and by ever I mean in the last, oh my god, I'm trying not to screw it, I think it was off camera. Oops. So, you know, the other people aren't going to be playing the game too, and that's why it's hard, you know. Instant gratification. You have to maintain a practice. It doesn't have to be being nice to people. If that's not your thing, go do you. Because whatever you go do is going to help you figure out, you know, whatever. Maybe you're not integrating the kindness strand. You can, you know, that's it. We get free will to choose. You don't have to be a nice person at all. I'm not like sunshine and rainbows. You know, I know it's very like, I feel like I have been a very unpleasant, very, very inconsiderate person at different times in my life, and like I feel like in ways I knew that, but it wasn't my priority. I didn't care. I couldn't help it, I guess, but I could, you know, and I just didn't, because I was integrating other things, right? So I'm not saying like and fuck all those people that choose poorly. Like, there's no right way to do it. You just have to be really, really, really compassionate and understanding of the fact that everyone's trying to weave that quilt, but no one knows what the fuck that means, right? If we all looked at it from a different lens that was a little bit more, I just like to break things down and explain them and visualize them and detangle them and tease them apart, and then put all the pieces together into a clay ball, and then push your thumb into the center of it, pinch the edges out, make a pinch pop, and then put it in the kiln and fire it up, and then eat cereal out of it. You know? Why can't we just do that with the nature of reality and ideas? I'm a churner. I'm a churning machine. I have to intentionally ground myself. This is the reason why. Look, I usually have a honking piece of black tourmaline with me when I record, but this itty bitty cannot hold me down right now. Brothers will come in town. Okay, one last thing I'm doing is a pick a card. Okay, so it's a question, pick a card, answer thing. It's an offering. I'm gonna pull 3 cards, and each one is going to be the answer to a question. So you can have 1 question, you can have 2 questions, you can have 3 questions. If you have 1 question, you can pick number 1, 2, or 3. But you have to stick to what you picked beforehand. So think about it right now and pick it. Oh, did I do that? Oh, that's good. You know, kind of a yes/no question, because these are just cards with guidance, right? I'm not going to answer your question. We're just going to clarify. So if you have 3 questions, the first answer belongs to the first question, the second answer belongs to the second question, the third answer belongs to the third question, That one was pretty good. Alrighty. I have never used these before, except for just getting acclimated with them. Of course, however, I've seen them for so long. They're everywhere. It's just magnificent to engage with them. The backs are all different. That's unique. The backs are all different. 1, 2. Can't change your answer before 3 comes out. I'm just kidding, you can do whatever you want. That was too many. I'm like wrestling with the cards. I'm wrestling with my ice pack. Just take the one at the top. Okay. If you just had one question, or you could have 2 questions. I didn't offer that up. All right, I'm not going to say if this, then this. I set the scene before, so you know how these will apply. The first card says no. That's it. No. There's many different ways to apply that. If you ask the yes or no question, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Take it as you will. The second one says romance. The answer to the question in mind, the situation at hand, is romance. It's real lovely. It's quite lovely. Let me tell you why even more. Because we see here an orb at the heart of the white light, right? White light, right? Red, blue, and yellow. Yet those are visible at the heart of the white light. And in my, multiple times, but in my sun gazing videos, I was talking about the light giving way to colors, okay? This, like, stuff, these types of illustrations are not, like, fake, right? We just can't see it. That's, like, the crazy part about different dimensions and stuff. Like, same goes for so many things. Can't see it. Don't have the bandwidth to process that energy. Our eyeballs can't look at that sun. Our, you know, again, like, it ties back to so many different things I've been talking about in terms of, like, conditioning in society, and, like, they don't want you to be able to access that. It's like, right, so a theory floating around is like, is Earth a prison planet? Like, no, it doesn't have to be. It's just there's a lot of influences on Earth, and we are the most powerful players at the party because humans belong on Earth. That sounds super referential to the fact that, like, you know, extraterrestrials no, I just mean all different kinds of energy. Like, it's just, it's futile to try to explain, because everything outside of our world here, you know, it has a conceivable thread in the quantum exterior landscape of probability. Anything does. And you create it when you access it through that gateway to that quantum thing, right? So that's why being a creator, sharing your ideas, sharing your art, it's very powerful to do, because it actually creates neural, that was a slip. It creates new access points on the quantum field so that you can transcend through, you know, you're rendering as you go, right? You can think about whatever you want, and if people saw the world for what it truly was, they would think very differently, and the collective manifestation would be very different. We are being kind of milled around energetically, is so, you know, everything that we're complicit to has major side effects in terms of, I don't want to go there. But I didn't even really finish because I got distracted. Because if you know, I like, number one, that if you stare at the light, right, it's saying that at the heart of the white light, and we know that in the center of a flame is the hottest, at the core of that hottest light, the core of the sun, it just defies white light and invisibility because it's so vibrant that it reforms into color, you know, like that. And yellow, Hilma af Klint, I believe blue and yellow were what she used to represent masculine and feminine energies and the harmony of them. And I don't remember which one's which. Green was the harmony of them. Green was union in those energies, and they're so not, you know, like the pink nursery, the blue nursery, the gender announcement. It's a reimagining, and it's beautiful because it actually has to do with this, right? These wavelengths, like just like the emotions, the colors, the light, everything, all of the stuff, all of them, everything, all of the visual stuff. This is why it's quantum. The visual stuff, the auditory stuff, the sound waves, the like seismic, the world, everything is vibration. That's a good, I have a lot more to say on that because obviously everything's vibration. That's not the new idea. The new idea is about the diagrams, because this shape, right, is very similar to this shape. Similar thing happening here. It's just on its side. So the reason why it can be like life path, or like how the eye delineates color. I mean, like the eye doesn't, like all the light, that's why it makes white light, because all the, right, we don't differentiate, whatever. I don't mean to be a leading authority on optometry in any way, but the reason why I feel like I can call that shape and my inquiries quantum in nature is because it's an interconnected experience that unites the things that we consider to operate and be very different, like the separate senses. It's really not different, right? The music waves, everything we hear, those waves of music, so that you see on a voice recording, it is similar with light, but it's not communicated to us properly, right? It's not communicated to us properly. I've said this so many times, I'll say it again, because reminding it really keeps reminding ourselves of this fact. I don't know, I think it's important because I think that we forget the radical implications of what it means, but the whole light spectrum, the human visible light spectrum, is less than 0.5% of the whole thing, less than 0.5%. So most of all the light, like we're not aware of it. That's just visible light. That's just eyes. Think about all the energy, you know, like we're very much as a collective, as a people, like not keyed into things that are happening literally all around us every day. I mean, we are just spinning eternally in time, right? But because we model it, because we have to conceive of it and model it, we do have memories, right? How can you, like I'm saying, somebody asking me, Mariah, how can you say that time is an illusion and the present moment and the past and the future are all one moment? Because like we kind of remember what happened like 53 years ago, or like somebody does. I wasn't here, but blah, blah, blah in the news, and it's a agreed upon reality. So, you know, like things do continue to happen. Like I'm not really getting the whole time thing. Well, what I would say to you is the present moment is what's never changing. Tapping into that unlocks the quantum nature of being able to access any point within this, because you understand the power and the full potentiality of the seed of creation, which is the present moment. Don't even get me started on how embodying that, like creation, masculine, feminine energies, like reproduction, sexual energy, creative energy, life cycles, life force, the Big Bang, it all ties together. But what you'd be talking about is like, here's the, say in a belief system of the genesis or origin of like the God or deity, right? Like Buddha becomes enlightened, and then like there's a story in Buddhism, and this and then that, and it's, you know, these cycles, BC AD, so that, you know, we do have a scripted written history. However, it would be such that this point energetically, the perception of all these themes, the world milling about, right? We've evolved, we're ascending, life's changing, humans are harnessing technology, the world's shifting and looking different around us, but these cycles somehow, you know, how they're engineered. And again, think about one of my more complex twisty drawings. I'll just do it. I haven't done it in a while. How funny is that? I need a new page. The complexity, I'll lose my train of thought about the whole thing before I even say it. So, right, the complexity of that particular point of the train track around the loop-de-loop mirrors in some way the exact point before it. It's a new moment, it's a new, right? But that's why it's like, oh, I kind of see what's happening here. Energy flows, attention goes, there's a pattern to nature and energy. You're not God, you're part of something, and that energy, God energy, is what you can harness and tap into, because then you know yourself. You're a human. But insert clip of Crush from Finding Nemo being like the EAC and like catching it, and like just do that in life with this. So incredibly nuanced though, right? It's like the fractal, so you can just dig into it more and more and more. The irony in that is that it gets more pleasurable and more enjoyable, and nothing could feel less like work of any kind, because it's like, wow, this is how life's meant to be lived. I'm doing a lot of stuff. A testimony, if you will. How I see the effects of believing in all this stuff in my own life is that I've always wanted to attain this balance of being comfortable with how intense, and I can be very overwhelming to be around. I'm quite an intense person, and I'm very, I don't know if I'm very vocal, but I do have a lot to say. Sometimes I don't always say it. In previous iterations of my, like, earlier in my life, I just how do I sum this up? How do I sum it up in a way that feels satisfactory? Or is that a sign to just not really go into this whole thing? What's the point of what I'm saying? That's a better question. That's a better question. So this is wild. Or maybe not, I don't know. This is how I begin to draw like one of the Twisty Tower tier. Oh, so sorry. The third card is ask for help from others. Totally got taken over by the idea of seeing through the light. Seeing through the light. That's a very good analogy, metaphor, parallel, synchronicity, whatever you want to call it, launching point for me to continue to close the loops that I believe need to be reinforced and touched on, because all I can ever do is keep saying the same thing in as many ways as possible, because I believe in it. And seeing through the light, right? So people like the light, like spiritual stuff that doesn't resonate with people, like it's hard to I don't know, see through the outer shell. Like there's so much to learn, there's so much to be gained from just seeing what resonates with you and taking it seriously and cultivating a way to navigate the world based on like belief, right? You can be an atheist and believe in numbers and algorithms. I think you're gonna find out the same thing. That's why I'm so wholehearted about this, because I feel like I've learned about religions, and I've learned about the New Age, and I've learned about spirituality, and I've learned about cults, and I've learned about mental health, and I've learned about conspiracy theories. Like, I'm like, okay, I've got all these shelves and all these different jars of like plant medicine and stuff, and like, I just like, right, the cost of the proverbial soup again. Like, I just want to sit down, use words and drawings, of course, and just like sprinkle all the ingredients in the soup from my, like, all those different investigations, and just keep churning it. It's never done. I'll just like, every little thing I show is just a taste test of the soup, and then I keep going. So I find it fun. Hopefully it helps people. By the way, if there's uncertainty in your heart or in your mind about a certain situation, if you wanted a yes or a no, if you who knows? If you're not sure what this means, then, ask for help from others. That could just be prayer or spirit guides, or if you don't believe in any of that, your dreams. Ask for help from your dreams. You could just engage with nothing at all, but a life well lived, right, is to practice and play, because we know what non-belief like gives us, Or of course you could ask real people in your life to give you their opinion. Maybe you're being called to not handle everything by yourself. Ask for advice, ask for literal help with completing things that you need to do. Here we're going to get one more card for the no answer, and one more card for the romance answer, and one more card for the ask from help from others. So if you're still watching and you had a question for any one of them, this is a secondary answer to that question to clarify the first answer and hopefully help you understand more. So it said no to the first question. This card says improving health. So something about a no, could be a delay, could be a not now, is pertaining to your or someone else's improving health. And these are, the chakras aligned in this picture. So there's a notion of healing, which speaks to divine timing, right? Letting things take their course, letting things play out as they must. Rejection is protection. You have to let go and release the need to cling to certain things. Oh, wow, that's beautiful. They're not even supposed to be the chakras at all, but they read like them from far away. I also don't have my glasses on. It's light winding around a rainbow flow that's coming from the bottom of the cup. Okay, so hopefully that clarifies the romance. I can put this down for a moment. The romance card, clarifier, is in the near future. That's sweet, and I hope that if romance is what you seek, then you experience it in the near future for anybody who hears it. Ask for help from others. The third question, the clarifiers, ask for a sign. Look for a sign, sorry. I always ask for signs, and I get ones. I'm going to tell you, I give the hardest challenges too. I do. I give the hardest challenges, okay? So, what's a good example? I was walking outside at nighttime, and I walk this same walk all the time, and I'm familiar with what is on the walk. And I always, look the same way, the same time. Like, by that I mean I walk on the same side of the sidewalk, I look straight ahead, I'm very much in my head, so that like what I'm actually seeing isn't like, that's not where my mind's at. I'm just on autopilot walking and processing my day, doing whatever, listening to music. I do a bunch of different things. I chat on the phone. I love to walk. It's my time. And I basically really wanted a confirmation for this. Sometimes I reason with the way my mind sorts through things and the way that I feel like the universe is guiding me, right? So how would you do that? Like, I don't know, confused, like life, like answers, like where do I go? That's me every day, all day, though. You understand? So it's funny, but it's not funny, and it's never too late to start, and blah blah blah. But like, the macro and the micro, the extreme and the not so extreme, things can get dire, and that's when people are like, "Show me a sign," and it's like, you haven't been paying attention to all the signs, so you're not going to see the sign because you've been, you know what I mean? So like, close attention to all of the signs, because everything's a sign, you know. Sometimes I get desperate because even when I think I'm paying attention, I can't see them, and that's the universe asking me to change tack, sharpen my awareness, pay attention to different things, right? New perspective, scale back and go back in. It's just like a dance, and it's understanding where you're being directed and why certain things are happening, because the same methods they constantly stop working. It's like, that's the nature of expanding energetically, because you start to function things, you experience things differently, so that you need to develop different practices, I think. And it can be exhausting, and it can be confusing. Anyway, you can ask for signs all the time, or if some people, you know, I'm imagining that, like a cartoon of just somebody falling to his knees and like praying, like just absolute desperation, not even a cartoon. Please bless the people in those positions and help them to see with the clear eyes of their soul for their greatest empowerment. When I was walking, you know, it was nighttime, it was dark out, and I said, if whatever, something, a question, show me a sun, show me the sun, because it was dark out. And that's where you have to, like, right, so if people say, that's how it'll be. If it's like, if you say, like, show me a, I don't know, something about duck, right? Duck. You could be expecting to see a duck on like a throw pillow, or like a little, I don't know, a duck logo, or obviously a real living duck. But when it comes to it, somebody yells, duck! And you have to duck, right? That's the type of shit. It's not that because people say, well, you just made it happen in your mind. I'm like, there's no way I could have made, you know, this happen in my mind. Like, you think that you see things, what's it called? Selective. Your attention to something causes it to appear more. I think that's a little tricky one. I think that's supposed to lead people astray. I do think that when you ask to be shown something, you will, regardless. Like, that's why it's very, very tricky and delicate. You have to be very careful about what you're asking the universe for, because guess what? You're never not asking. You're never not asking. You're never not asking. You're always pulling matter and time and energy into your body. You're always putting it out. So that's that conversation right there. It's like, well, I'm not asking the universe for anything. I'm just existing. It's like, we're breathing, and we're all taking up space, and we're sharing this life and this realm, this part of the nebulous grid, this part of the Janet's void. Can you deny that you're here? Like, you know what I mean? Can you deny that you're here on Earth taking up space and consuming energy? Like, we are as good as plants. They photosynthesize, they take the sunlight and the H2O and the CO2, right? We eat and breathe oxygen, and we drink water, and then we do a bunch of other stuff. We also need sunlight. We do a lot of stuff that, I mean, in the age of technology, right? The age of information, the age of oh my goodness. Just think about this. If anybody thinks that we're, because of our technology and how we've discovered this, that, if anybody thinks that we are at all close to fully peaking as mankind, if anybody thinks we're at all, like, in any way close to maximizing the potential of humans, we've never been farther away. Because the whole world, right, we're just saturated in these, enslaved in these, like, energetic chains of oppression. Like, the world is heavy. It's heavy. It never fails to be, like, metaphorical, literal, like, So I was walking with the intention, not the intention, I just said, like, show me the sun, show me a sun. And I, split second, the reason why I was standing, I said it earlier in the walk, to the point where I had stopped looking because I was kind of sad, right? Because I had gotten my answer. So first, I set the intention, or I was just like playing games in my mind, thinking about stuff, like sifting around, being like, what? And I ended on, show me the sun. 5 minutes later, I was walking past a restaurant and there was a picture that was just a big moon. And I was like, well, that's cute, universe. But ultimately not my sign. So then I released it and was thinking about other things. And then when the dog needed to stop to do his business or had an interesting smell to investigate, I stopped and looked across the street, and there was a literal sign with a sun on it, like a graphic advertising a service of some kind. Couldn't read any text, it was just the sun. If you don't think you receive your answer when you ask for guidance and start to engage with the universe, then it either hasn't come yet, you're not meant to know, or you need to change the way you're looking for receiving your answers. It could be through dreams, it could be through a person who you talk to all the time, except one day they say something a little bit different, and it kind of, you're like, what'd you say? Like, because a certain phrase that's not usually repeated, it comes right out of their mouth, like these different things, right? Maybe they don't even know they're part of confirming your message. That's why it's important to speak your truth and say what's on your mind, because we don't know what role we play in other people's journeys and stories. We don't know. You're the main lead character in your own story, and you can be whatever type of character you want to be in someone else's story. Going back to, I was talking about different parts of my life, and then I was like, I'm not going to do my whole, but, right, it's okay. I've forgiven myself for being a bad character in other people's stories, and I've forgiven the bad characters in my story, but, you're the main character in your story. I'm a little hoarse. Gotta stay hydrated. Stretch and stay hydrated. Stretch and stay hydrated. Amazing tips for aging. And doing this. Seriously. Oh my god. Forgive the sound. Really the things they do in the facials, where you're breaking up all of this, getting the circulation going, tracing the paths of your sinuses, up here above the eyebrows, down under the brow bones, under the cheekbones. I hope strange thing to do. Strange way to see yourself. Don't do it in the mirror. I don't recommend that. Do it and then just enjoy. It's a weird thing to do. But it actually feels really good. Another thing that Emily Pompey taught me was that energy pools in the mouth. Energy pools in the mouth. That's why so many people have sleep bruxism or teeth grinding. Energy pools in the mouth. And you can oil swish, coconut oil or just olive oil. I prefer coconut oil, but when I'm out of it, I use olive oil because I always have that. And you just swish it like mouthwash for however long you want. I typically do it, and then that's what I'm doing. It's as if I'm chewing gum. It'll be a good 25 minutes. Just holding the olive oil in my mouth and letting it just fully draw, like a drawing salve. Imagine it like a drawing salve. extracting stored energy. You can even visualize it leaving, energy, like just a tight jaw, or like whatever you feel into, right? This is a complicated area of the human body, this whole area. So it's important to release tension, and doing oil swishes can help you clear the energy in your mouth. And my teeth grinding at night has gotten better because of that, which is just amazing, because my jaw was so sore. It was an issue. I was a very intense teeth grinder. I think it's a very, very common problem, and I think that speaks to the fact that a lot of people are like super stressed out and they're not clearing out their energy. It manifests physically. It's like charging. It doesn't need to be charged. It needs to be right? It's almost like we're squirrels storing little energetic bits for later. Like, nope, you don't need it, because all you have to do is key into the flow of like the literal present moment. I don't have my glasses on. I can't tell if my hands are literally glowing or if I'm just seeing aura, I'm gonna pick a sign or symbol just to discuss briefly. The leopard. The leopard is an agile and stealthy predator. Known as one of the most capricious of the big cats, it is fitting that it draws the chariot of the wine-loving Greek god Dionysus. A ubiquitous African symbol of royal power, the leopard appears on the coats of arms of several African nations, including Benin, Malawi, Somalia, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Because it is the only cat known to hunt for pleasure rather than hunger, the leopard symbolizes the dark side of power and its dangers. Mandala too. I was just saying how I was, in touch with two different people who had described to me. They don't know each other. They didn't know that the other one told me this. They came to me at different times, and they said, I had this experience. I want to know if you know anything about it. I was dreaming, and I went through a tunnel of mandalas. I'm sure I could very easily find out what this is called if this is a common experience, but I had it too. So when one person said it, I was mind blown, because I was like, it's a thing. And then when another person had it, it wasn't so long after that person had it. And then I was also linking that to the numerology of the year 2023, which is 7, and how that experience, those tunnels, happened to me 7 years ago now. And that really was, I think, the first year I started really lucid dreaming and going other places, traveling through different dimensions and layers of the Akashic, whatever, the lucid dreams, the Akashic dreams, doing mission work, I guess you could call it, helping out different situations, getting myself in trouble, whatever it may be. It's interesting out there. You gotta protect yourself. You are safe, but you have to understand, I guess I'm gonna tie it back to the leopard thing, because I didn't know what to make of that, right? I just said I was gonna share one, so I read that, right? But it's the dark side of power, the dangers in the dark side of power, because leopards are the only ones that hunt for pleasure, the only predators. It's a pretty resounding fact. It's impressive. Maybe it was the only big cats who hunt for pleasure, but I digress. Maybe I'll say this. I guess if I were to be concerned about anything, I would be concerned that there's a lot of false ideas floating around that are not helpful, and they actually subject people to go about things in a way that's not spiritually hygienic, or not unsafe, because that's not right. It's gonna be okay, but there's a lot of disinformation, and it's just confusing, right? There's so many different reasons why that is, and lots of people are well-intentioned. Like, I don't know. I'm not one to judge anybody's expression of their truth, but you don't want to mess around with like other realms, I guess. It sounds so cheesy and ridiculous to say, I know that. Just like you don't want to mess around with like witchcraft, black magic. Like, it's all real. It's all real. Ancient cultures knew it. We're like, oh, they were so, or this is what like the man of technology says, right? Primitive, right? It's the whole colonial America, the slaughtering of the Native American people. They were seen as barbaric because we had these things, but they were incredibly in tune with nature and reality, time, the web, aligned. Our story, right? Different lineages. There are people who are of that lineage, but I speak as an American. Our story is one of continuous detachment from those values, which I don't want to go into that either. I'm going full history. I really have to rest my weary bones. I say that every time I sit down, by the way. But it's my bedtime. What's super cool is that I completely forget that I said certain things, and I was like, they're not going to make any sense or build upon each other. But I always remember, if I talk about something that relates to something else, I'll always remember it, because that's my version of operating the twisties in my mind. Like, I can, like, I don't know, it all connects. Transverse the webs really quickly and be like, link it up together. Stitching. Making connections. And I left off with this. I know it's my bedtime. I'm going to finish it. Oh, and I said, this is really fun. What I meant is this is how I always used to draw them. So then I'd go like this. I'm kidding. This is what I also really liked about this metaphor, whatever you want to call it, my diagrams, whatever. What I liked about it was the process of drawing it could actually go differently every single time, but the outcome was the same. Like, it never stopped blowing my mind or being cool to me, because I could pick up right where I left off, right? But I want to open it up to other fractals besides like traffic cones and whatever. Like the fractal I did on that grid paper the other day. That was about a month ago now, actually. Wow, a lot has changed in a month. Holy shit. Things are changing very, very quickly. Things are changing very, very quickly. It's a time, actually, right now, energetically, it's very, very challenging for people who are super resistant to change. They're going to find it pretty uncomfortable. And if that's you and you find yourself in that position, then I would say try to release your expectations about what you expect things to be going like for you right now, and try to cultivate some type of, even if things are hard and you're suffering, just be kind to yourself first and foremost. Be kind to yourself, be gentle with yourself, try to do right by yourself and make good decisions in terms of just physical comfort, right? And and health, and just try to take care. Of course, we all have our vices, we all have our bad habits, we all have ways of self-sabotaging, but start with the self, and then have trust and faith that things will improve. I mean, I like look at myself and I'm like, you look so like exhausted and unkempt. Like, you should put more effort into, being presentable. But like, all I know is that this is a major step up from how I used to be, in terms of like, it wouldn't even be like a kempt, like, I just can't even use so many of them because like I typically, I don't like the way bras feel. So it's not really like necessarily appropriate all the time. I know people bear their bodies and free the nipple and all of that, but like I don't need to be doing that. I'm all for that. This is not what that's about. That's not this. And so I could put more effort into it, but for what? It's nighttime. I'm in my comfies.